Having had hearing problems for a number of years, an elderly gentleman went to the doctor, who fitted him with hearing aids that hopefully would allow him to hear much better. The old man returned a month later to the doctor for an evaluation of his new hearing aids. The doctor said to him, "Your hearing is perfect. Your family must really be pleased that you can hear again." The gentleman replied, "Oh, I haven't told my family yet. I just sit around and listen to their conversations. I've already changed my will 3 times this month." Just so you know, that joke has absolutely nothing to do with my homily. I read it this week and I thought it was funny and I wanted to share it with all of you. In the parable that Jesus presents to us today, God calls the rich man a fool. We might ask ourselves, why is he foolish? And upon reflecting on the parable, we see that there are 3 reasons for his foolishness. The first reason is rather obvious. The man has absolutely no intention to share all that he has, which is more than enough, with anybody else. Not his family, not his friends, let alone anybody in need. Everything that he has, everything he worked for, is for him and him alone. The second reason for his foolishness is his notion, his regard for the future. He seems to have it all planned out. I will tear down my barns, and I'll build larger ones. And there I will store all the many good things that I have for many, many years to come. And then I will rest, eat, drink, and be merry. The problem is, the strategy of his future is foolishness, because his future lasts only one day, and he's gone. Wise people don't postpone living today because they don't focus down on the future. Foolish people do that. Foolish people are always waiting for when. When I graduate. When I fall in love. When I get that good job. When I get that big house. When I get that new car. When I retire. The foolish person is always living down the road when. But the wise person knows that none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. And that's why the wise persons live today, the only time they have. The third reason why this rich man is foolish is because he is unaware of the source of his success. He presumes that he, in his efforts, brought about this bountiful harvest. It was his work, his effort, his ingenuity that gave him everything he has. Did you notice the pronouns in the little speech, the little talk he gave to himself? What shall I do? for I do not have space to store my harvest. This is what I shall do. I shall tear down my barns and build bigger ones. There I shall store all my grain and other goods, and I shall say to myself, now as for you, you have so many good things stored up for many years. Eat, drink, rest, be merry. He was simply self-centered. He didn't talk to anyone else about his success and how he got there, let alone did he talk to God. And because he was so self-centered, he was so much in himself, he had no room, nor understanding, nor knowledge to give thanks. To give thanks to God, who is the source of all goodness and blessings. Over the past 40 years of being a priest, I have met many, many happy people. Happy not so much in external happiness that they're giddy and giggling all the time, but a sense of happiness that you can see is deep inside within them. And over the years, I've tried to understand and reflect on how did they achieve, how were they able to obtain this happiness from within? And I discovered that each of those individuals were people who were thankful. People who knew that everything they had, everything they are, and everything they work for comes from God, is a blessing from God. And so they thank God for who they are and what they can do. Those people who had this inner happiness and joy were people who realized that all the relationships that they had in life, be it with their spouse, their children, their grandchildren, their friends and their neighbors, all those loving relationships were a gift from God to them and for them. And that they were able to sustain these loving relationships because of God's grace and God's care and God's blessing throughout their life. Thankfulness is what you and I are called to be. People who simply give thanks for who we are and what we can do, for all that we have, especially the relationships God has placed into our lives. Every time we come to Mass, we celebrate the Eucharist. The word comes from a Greek word, Eucharistia. And the meaning of that Greek word, Eucharistia, is thanksgiving. Every time we gather to celebrate Mass, we're invited to be people who give thanks. Thanks to God, the source of everything that we have, everything we are, all that we do. Our gospel today invites us to live this day with thankfulness. Thankfulness is the secret to happiness. Thankfulness is the way to live. To live any other way would be the choice of a fool.